plotters, pantsers, and everyone in between, November 1st is just around the corner, so that means we need to do a little outlining. Don't freak out. Let me give you my 8-step, easy process for outlining. And when I say outline, I actually mean a really flexible, workable, fun plan that you can do in just a few steps. And if you're thinking of doing NaNoWriMo this year, please stick around because I have something that's going to help you make this year the best year. Hi, I'm Jennifer Gregson, a book coach who uses tarot to help writers start and finish their novels, all with a smile on their face. Okay, let's take that really basic structure we did 2 weeks ago, the beginning, the middle, and the end, and let's build that out a little bit so that we can have an easy, workable, flexible plan before November 1st. The fun part about this is you can do it a couple of different ways. You can do it via index cards or post-it notes if you want to be analog or just literally write bullet points on paper. That is a little harder. You can't move stuff around, but you can. You can do it via Scrivener or some other kind of writing app that has a sort of virtual corkboard with index cards on it. Or you can do like I did this time, and you can actually use digital post-it notes within an app like GoodNotes on your iPad. I'm going to show you sort of how I did this method a little bit later in this video, and you can see that's what I did this year. So I am going to use the word note for each of these things. Just realize that when I say that, it's whatever process you're using. So if you're using bullet points, either analog or digital, or index cards, or literal post-it notes on your wall, I'm going to use the word note, but insert whatever thing you're using here. Let's go. So step 1, grab your note of choice and write down that beginning that you came up with. Grab another note and write your middle, and then grab another note and write your end. And then put those in front of you some way. Either put them on the wall, on the table in front of you, or digitally. Just make sure you have it all on one place so that you can see them all at the same time. That is the first 3 steps. Step 4, now take your notes and you're going to map out 1 to 3 steps, depending on how comfortable you feel, between your beginning and your middle. Things to think about here is, what would your main character need in order to get from A to B? What needs to happen to make that middle possible? And again, these do not need to be super, super detailed. These can be bullet points. These can be 1 or 2 sentences. These can be fragments of ideas. Step 5 is just to read that over and make sure it all makes sense. Make sure you're not missing anything that you're going to need later. So like even 2 days from now, make sure you know what you mean. So if you're using shorthand, make sure you write that down somewhere. So like if you don't want to write a whole character name, right? Like my character's name is Ruby. You'll see in the example a little bit later, I use just the letter R, but I need to know that 3 days from now so that when I go back to it, I'm not like, what am I talking about? So just make sure that you, future you, knows what past you is doing. Okay, now step 6 is sort of the repeat of step 4, except that you're going to map out the journey between your middle and your end. Again, you can do this linearly. Is that a word? Or you can go backwards. Sometimes, depending on the book, I have to start from my end and work my way back. Sometimes I can start from the middle and work my way forward. There is no wrong way here, but map out the next 3 to 5 steps on your notes. I say 3 to 5 just because I don't like to get super overwhelmed through the first overview of this process, but you take as many steps, journeys, notes as you need to tell your story. You may have amazing ideas right now and you want to get them all out on paper. That's great. You may be just sort of figuring things out and you're only getting 2 to 4 steps. That's fine too. There is no magic number here. It's just what's going to help you get your characters from point B to point C at this point. So now we're just going to repeat steps again, and we're going to read what we have only from the middle to the end and make sure all of that makes sense. Again, that you know what your shorthand means, that you make sure that you have as much information so that future you knows what you're doing. Now, this step might surprise you, but I'm going to tell you to take a break. That's literally step 7. Take a break. Seriously, go do something else. Let this stuff sit. Let this stuff sit either in the digital product, on your desk, in your brain. Just know that you've gotten out some stuff and go take a well-deserved break. Go watch a movie, your favorite TV show, go eat something yummy. I like to take at least 24 hours before I come back. And that is step 8. Read over everything in one big swoop. Follow the journey and add anything you need. As you're reading, do you think of something that needs to go in between, let's say, 3 and 4? Great, add it in. Do you realize that you need something to happen earlier than you had previously made it because of the ending? Great, move the card. This is why I say that if you're doing it on paper, sometimes it can get a little messy. But if you know that your red 1, 2, 3 next to it is the final numbers, that's all you really need. No one else needs to see this. So your process can be as messy or as organized as you'd like it to be. Okay, a couple of quick tips before I jump into my footage of how I did this. If you are writing multiple points of view, and you are going to map out the journey for both or all of your characters, just make sure that you are very, very clear about which note goes with which character. You can either do color-coded index cards or Post-it notes. You can write in a different colored ink if you're writing on paper. You can just write the character name at the top. Like with my digital, I would probably do that. I would probably write Ruby and then blah, 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 and then Meadow, blah, 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 if I was doing multiple points of view. That's how I would do it. Or digitally, you can also use different Post-it note colors. So you can decide how you want to do that, but try to stay a tiny bit organized if you are doing multiple points of view. Okay, so let me roll some footage of how I did this on my iPad using the digital app GoodNotes, and we'll be right back. Okay, so now that I've taken you through the steps, let me just quickly show you how I would do this. Again, I'm doing this on my iPad in my GoodNotes notebook using just digital Post-it notes in my digital notebook. I would normally do this with index cards and have a very big mess. That's not great to show on camera, so I'm going to do it this way. So when I did my beginning, my middle, and my end from a couple of weeks ago, I pulled the beginning, the middle, and the end cards, and then I pulled 2 more tarot cards for stepping stone scenes. So what I need to figure out now is the middle of all of that so that I can kind of round out this very, very beginning outline. I am definitely going to need to work on this and come up with a few more. I like to have about 15 index cards or 15 scenes, 15 Post-it notes, bullet points, however you want to do it, to start. Now, that does not mean that's what I end up with, but that's how I usually like to start. Today, I'm going to go ahead and do 9. So the beginning is Ruby is heartbroken. Here, let me make it just a little bigger. Ruby is heartbroken over her own breakup and learns about her parents' divorce. I'll need to figure this scene out, number 2. And then number 3 is the first meeting of all of the elemental magical girls, and it does not go well. There's some sort of fighting, there's some sort of rebellion. Not everyone wants to be there. I'll need to figure out number 4. Then my middle is Ruby must learn to control her fire, and that the earth magic woman, the earth magic girl, is going to sort of become her mentor and sort of help her out. I feel like the earth magic has been sort of in the group the longest or has had control of her magic the longest. I need to figure out scene 6. Then I have Ruby has self-doubts and quits the team. She doesn't see how they can succeed. So I definitely need to figure out some evil that they're fighting. And then again, I have number 8 empty. And then my end is they have a celebration. They've definitely defeated the evil, but they have lost some people along the way. And that helps set up either the next book in my series or just gives a realistic look at this world and how evil the actual evil was, like how bad it really was. So what I would do then is I would say, well, what do I need into that would
that would take me from 1 to 3, right? So she's heartbroken, but then there's this first meeting. So somehow she needs to figure out or discover she has this power. So I'm going to say R discovers new power and gets invited into this meeting. Okay, and again, from the first meeting to when she has to control her fire, what happens here? So maybe they all start working together. Trying to think of, I'm trying to look at some of my notes off camera here. Um, there's a mission. I feel like there's a small mission that they need to do, and something doesn't go right with her fire. So maybe she learns to do something, and there's a small accident, and Ruby's fire magic hurts someone. And then that means she has to learn to control it. So now she's learned to control it, and she's going to doubt herself. So something happens here. So I'm going to say that the evil force grows more powerful. And I know the evil force is actually going to take over one of the elemental magic women and turn her evil. So their evil force is going to grow more powerful and take one of the girls. I call them girls, but they're teenagers. So then she has self-doubt because she sees that the evil is just too evil. And then how do they defeat the evil? Now, again, these are 9 bullet points. I am going to definitely need to expand on this. But what can I do for her to come back? I'm going to say, I'm going to say R's parent. I'm not going to say which one because I'm not sure yet. Helps her see how special she is. And that her team needs help. And that is literally as easy as I would make this. Boom, 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 boom. This does not take into account any subplots, right? I'm definitely going to need some of those. And I hardly ever worry about that in the first draft, but I might take some notes about things, especially with like maybe Ruby's parents. Might be a good subplot, or one of the other girls uses drugs to control her power. Sorry, I didn't power. So that would be an interesting subplot. So I might write some stuff down here as well. But this is how I would definitely start using this very simple 8-step system. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, I find this super, super helpful. And then what I do is, as I'm working on my outline, as I'm writing, as I start doing NaNoWriMo, I use this as a working document, and I will move these things around. I will renumber them. That's the best way for me to do it from here. I will move stuff around, renumber things. I will make new notes. What I might do is I might take each of these points and move it into its own document. So let's say I decide this is my number 2. I'm going to copy it and then paste it onto its own page. And then I can take as many notes as I need to for each scene. And that's probably what I would do if I'm going to keep it. I would keep this the same, this page the same, and then I would put each note on its own page. So there we go.
As you can see from my example, I did not do a ton of outlining this time, but before November 1st, I will probably go back and add a few more things. Like I said, in that I like to have about 15 to 20 notes or scenes sort of mapped out. I'm only doing a single point of view this book. That's different from the last 2 books I've worked on, and I'm feeling that a little bit. So I definitely want to add some stuff in. Like I said, there's some subplot stuff I could add in at some point, or I could just have those notes on the side. Now, once you get to this point, you can decide, are you done? Great. If this is all you need and you feel super ready to start on November 1st, great. Go grab a cold beverage, grab a hot beverage, go celebrate because you are more than ready to start on November 1st. But if you're like me, you might want a little more. And this is how I do it. So I am filming this in 2022, so NaNoWriMo officially starts on Tuesday, November 1st. So sometime Friday or Monday before the official first day, I will go through probably the first 3 or 4 scenes and I will map out a little bit more. I will map out who needs to be in the scene, where the setting is, any kind of dialogue that I've already figured out or things that need to happen, and I will map those out a little bit further. I will be using my GoodNotes app for this, and I told you I put each post-it note on its own page. That is where I will map out even more. I will write characters, time of day, time of week, whatever I need to write that scene. But I will only do this for the first 3 to 4 scenes. That gets me through a couple of writing sessions. When I get to the next part, I will stop and do that again. Why do I do this? One, it gives me that little bit more outline that I like to have, but it keeps things flexible. So as my plans change, as things happen, as I write and I get new ideas, I am not working on a detailed outline for weeks, right? That I'm going to eventually have to change. I have a plan, I have it all mapped out, but if something happens, if I get brilliant downloads in the middle of chapter 2, I don't want to have to redo the entire outline. I only have to worry about post-it notes and index cards and bullet points, and that's super easy to fix, chuck, redo, move around, and then my detailed outlines as I go. I don't like to do it every day because it is kind of a process and it is fun for me to like chunk 3 or 4 or 5 at a time. I get through like a week of writing. That's on a normal thing. With NaNoWriMo, I'm probably going to have to do it twice a week, but that's okay for me. You decide when you want to do this process. If you have any questions about this, I have some other outlining videos that I can put in the cards right here above that are going to be very, very helpful. It depends on if you're a pantser or a plotter or somewhere in between. I have sort of videos for all of those, so go watch those if you need a little extra help before we start next week. So November 1st is fast approaching. It starts next week on Tuesday. My official first NaNoWriMo email goes out to my accountability group on Monday. If you would like in, please check the link in my description box below. It is going to be a fun party. I'm going to send all sorts of fun writing exercises, tarot spreads, things to try. We're going to have those weekly Zoom writing sessions so that we can up our word count together, and I'm going to help you make NaNoWriMo this year the best NaNoWriMo. No matter what your goal is, no matter if you hit 50,000, we are going to have fun this November together. So join the free accountability group. I can't wait to see you there. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. I will be making NaNoWriMo videos for the rest of November every week, so come back and join me, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next week for NaNoWriMo Week 1.